I'm General Glenn Walters, United States Marine Corps retired, and I serve as the president of the Citadel. I'd like to take a moment and discuss your choice of colleges. Most of you have many options. The Citadel is not for everybody, and very different opportunity for most of the schools you're likely to be considering. It isn't easy, but the rewards are great, from the superior education and leadership training to the lifelong relationships you'll build. The Citadel is a unique experience. We rank as one of the top colleges in the nation, and it's proven our graduates are more successful than just about any other school's alumni. So if you're ready to commit yourself to a great journey with immense rewards for those who complete it, I look forward to your joining our ranks. Good luck and see you soon. Our mighty Citadel. These words have a special meaning because they make us think about what's special about our college. And they make us think about the task at hand and what we can do to preserve what is special about this college, while also taking the steps necessary to make sure that this college and what it stands for will stand forever. We are a mighty Citadel, with a sacred mission to educate and develop principled leaders for all walks of life. The values-based education we offer here is more important now than it ever has been. To stand forever, we must preserve the traditions that make the Citadel such a special place. The traditions of service, challenge, resilience, and camaraderie.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Citadel's South Carolina Candidate Webinar. We welcome you. My name is Seamus Gillen. I'm a member of the Citadel's class of 1996, and I serve as the Associate Director of Admissions. I'd like to introduce my counterpart tonight, Josh Simon, class of 2008, who will be assisting on the technical side tonight. South Carolina has a very unique and storied connection to the Citadel, obviously. Since our founding in 1842, the mission of the Citadel has been to forge and deliver principled leaders into the world, whether they're commissioned officers coming out of the 4 service branches or as leaders in business or in education. South Carolina cadets have and continue to play a vital role in this calling. Tonight, we have 3 guests joining us who will share their individual experiences regarding the tremendous impact that the Citadel's leadership and academic development models have had upon their own personal journeys. Topics of discussion tonight include a brass tacks review of our institutional results. This is the return on investment stuff. What do you get when you put $1 on the table here at the Citadel? We're going to look at the transformative nature of the first year here at the Citadel, affectionately called the knob year here at the Citadel, and the 3 years of leadership development that follow. We're going to talk about the cadet experience as a whole. We're going to talk about the amazing city that is Charleston, South Carolina, which is where our cadets plug in to charge the energy back up for a demanding academic week. We're going to shed light on the physical activity that's a healthy part of the existence here at the Citadel, whether it's Division I athletics, club sports, or our intramurals in the afternoon. We'll talk a little bit about the social club opportunities here and the organizational opportunities that are both military, academic, and recreational that the cadets make great use of. We're also going to dive into the Citadel's core ethos of servant leadership. That's a very important term here, and it's one that is kind of the guiding light on how we teach and appropriate leadership. It's a key part of the experience for the Corps of Cadets. One element that it is expressed most commonly through is community service, but our cadets are imbued with this notion that servant leadership is the driving force in what they do and how they'll be successful in the future. And lastly, we're going to talk about how the Citadel's passionate alumni network support current cadets, graduates of the college, and the institution as a whole. In South Carolina, there are 21 different Citadel Alumni Association clubs that span all of our counties here. They're all over the place. And these are great connection points, networking points for active cadets, for graduates, and for fans of the Citadel, the parents. The community that is the Citadel is larger than just our graduates. Tonight's program is going to conclude with a question and answer segment that our guest panelists are going to dive into and field questions for. That's going to conclude at 7 p.m. tonight. And with respect to the questions and answers, there's a comment section on the right side of your screens. Please make sure you're entering those questions. You don't have to wait for Q&A to put down a question that comes to mind. So use that option throughout the programming tonight. If you have a question that comes up, we'll make sure we dive on those things. And if we don't get to all those questions tonight, we're committed, Josh and I are committed to getting those questions answered thereafter. So we'll email you a response. And as promised, at the end of tonight's event, we're going to be putting up a QR code for our viewers to scan. It's simple. It's going to demand that you put an accurate address in there so that we can confirm that, and we can go ahead and send you that Citadel pennant. These are very cool Citadel pennants that we've designed exclusively for these programs. They're perfect for your locker if you happen to be in school. Most South Carolinians are. You can put that in the locker, or you can throw it in your room. Don't put it in your sister or brother's room, because it probably won't last long. So hang on to that. We're going to be mailing those out. So now let's get on with it. Let's get on to meet our guest. Our first panelist of the evening is Carlton Bailiff III. He's a senior psychology major from Blythewood, South Carolina, and he serves as the athletic officer in the Citadel's Regimental Band and Pipes. He's a member of the following clubs: the Citadel Gospel Choir, the Citadel African American Society, and he aspires to becoming a Fulbright English teaching assistant, to also being accepted into Howard University's Master's in Social Work program, and ultimately serving as a macro-level social worker. That's pretty outstanding. And talk about servant leadership, that's a pretty defined outcome right there that speaks to that end. His academic honors are pretty impressive, to say the least. He is a Gold Star recipient. A Gold Star. Hey, why don't you tell him what a Gold Star recipient is? What is that, Carlton? Tell him what that is.
Okay. Well, students who receive Gold Stars have earned a 3.7 or higher GPA on a 4.0 scale during the previous semester. So if I perform well enough to earn a 4.0, let's say, in the fall, then I will receive Gold Stars at the recognition parade in the spring. So I've done that. I've done that all 7 semesters.
Wow, that's impressive. There's an honor code here at the Citadel as well. And so with that honor code, cadets don't lie, cheat, or steal. And with that being said, I never achieved Gold Star. So let me be clear about that, Carlton, that I was not in your league academically, but that's outstanding. Speaking of your league, you've received a Citadel scholarship here, a full academic scholarship here. Is that accurate to state? You're a full scholarship winner?
Yes, sir. And I forgot to mention this in my information, but I'm also in the Citadel Honors Program.
Outstanding. Good for you. That's outstanding. You're also in the Star of the West. We could spend all night on your accolades here, but I'm going to quickly get through this so we can get moving here. You're a Star of the West International Summer Scholar. You picked up a $5,000 scholarship to go abroad and study in the summer of 2019. I'm going to ask you about that soon, but not now. President's List. You were also on the President's List. This is the highest cadet award for military and academic distinction. You picked it up in December of 17. That ran out in May of 2018. Cadet Bailiff, welcome to the program. We appreciate you being here. Our next panelist is Noah Wells. Noah is a junior in Palmetto Battery. He's a triple major, which is pretty amazing. He's a computer science major, a math major, and a cyber operations major who hails from Columbia, South Carolina. Cadet Wells also serves as Palmetto Battery's recruiting officer. That's pretty outstanding. I think maybe a sergeant. I need to check in on that. We'll ask him for clarity on that. He serves as secretary of the Citadel Cyber Club. He's the vice president of the Association of Computing Machinery. He's a member of the competitive cyber team here at the Citadel, and he actively participates with the computer science departmental research projects. Cadet Wells also serves as a campus tour guide with us in admissions, which is outstanding. He's an academic tutor as well, helping folks, and we'll talk more about the academic environment. Tutoring is a keen part of that as well. His post-graduation aspirations include a desire to become a federal agent in one of our government agencies. We call them the 3-letter agencies. I think he's tracking on either the CIA or the FBI, and his hope is to become employed in the cyber arena on that side of the house. He's pursuing a scholarship specific to that end. He also has a pretty prodigious academic honor list here. He is a Dean's List recipient and a Gold Star recipient. He had a 4.0 last semester as a triple major. That's ridiculous. That's pretty outstanding there. Welcome to the program, Cadet Wells. We appreciate you being here, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
And finally, we have Amy Lorenzos Lobo joining us. She's a freshman, affectionately called a knob here at the Citadel, and she's in Papa Company. She's a biology, I think she's a pre-med major, and hails from Mount Pleasant, which is just across the bridge here in South Carolina, in Charleston. The club sports that she's involved in, she's in clubs or sports she's involved in. This club that she's involved in is the Association of the United States Army. She's a member of the Pre-Health Society, and she's also on the women's rugby team. That's outstanding. Her post-graduation goal is to commission into the Army and serve as a medical doctor. It's always nice to have Uncle Sam pick up the tab for a medical degree. That's outstanding. She also is a high performer in the academic arena. She picked up an Army ROTC scholarship, and she has also achieved both Gold Stars and Dean's List in the short time she's been here at the Citadel. Cadet Lobo, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
So I'd like to thank all of our folks here for joining us tonight. We appreciate you taking time. It's busy. You guys have just gotten back on the saddle here at the Citadel. Welcome back. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to watch a handful of Citadel cadet profile videos that really underscore different elements of the journey that cadets take here at the Citadel. There are fundamental truths that all cadets experience, and then there's the individual experiences that really speak to what individuals gain from this. Each person comes to the Citadel for different reasons. There are some unifying elements that I think galvanize all of us together. One is an aspiration to lead. One is an aspiration to do so in a principled manner. But there is a shotgun that of destinations where our cadets go, including the military and all walks of life thereafter. But it's the leadership experience that really permeates that post-graduation lifestyle. And it's really the hallmark of the institution, despite the tremendous academic accolades. But it's a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about next. Parents who might be sitting in with their future cadets, you want to know what our return on investment is. That's something that's very important. You know us because you're South Carolinians, and we have a distinct legacy here. But the thing that you might not know are all the rankings and all the outcomes that we have. And I'm privileged to talk about these in admissions because it makes our life pretty easy when it comes to selling the institution in terms of what we actually produce when the rubber meets the road. U.S. News and World Reports ranked the Citadel the #1 public university in the South for 10 years in a row. That's domination, folks. We're making a trench now in this run because it shows the long-standing commitment to achieve at a high level in different capacities. That includes our graduation rates, our employment rates, average salary, trajectories, professionally speaking for our folks, alumni giving. All these are elements that weigh into that final decision. And so to win that honor for 10 years in a row, again, is a very important distinction for us. For any aspirants who are looking at the engineering programming here at the Citadel, we're a top 20 nationally ranked program here at the Citadel. It's pretty amazing. I was not an engineering major. I was an English major here at the Citadel, but I roomed with a bunch of engineers, and they're all highly successful folks. That's another standard trajectory element here. But the engineering department here at the Citadel, or school rather, is just it's just off the charts. Here are some institutional numbers. Within 3 months of graduation, better than 90% of our graduates are professionally employed. This ranks 25% above the national average. So that's now we're getting to where the rubber meets the road. Employment. Families have to take on financial debt. We're in a pandemic. There's a lot of pressures that are pushing down on families, and so having a value statement is really important, and understanding that the Citadel produces consistently these results. It's not a one-off affair. It is a long-term destination for our programming here at the Citadel, that we produce people that are highly employable. So that's really important. For all of our athlete considering folks, potential athletes that are out there in considering the Citadel, we're not going to consider you differently because you're an athlete. And that's a good thing because that means our outcomes are equally shared. And what I mean by that is Division I athletes graduate at the same rate as non-athletes. And I would encourage you, when you're looking at other Division I schools you might be looking at, ask them if they share the same graduation rates with non-athletes. The subject might be changed rapidly, but here we're proud to say that the core is a core of cadets. It's not distinguished between an athlete and a non-athlete, or people going in the military, and not all are held to the same standard. And equally, all are immersed in the same academic culture. This is really, really important for our folks out there to understand. 81% of the folks coming to the Citadel receive financial aid, including $14 million in ROTC scholarship monies alone. Here's the big number. Average salary upon graduation, just under $57,000 a year. That's what our average seniors who depart the Citadel are picking up on that first job. A big attraction point for us is the small, intense classroom environment that we provide our students. 12-to-1 is the student-faculty ratio that we've hovered around for decades. This is not a short-term destination. Again, this is a cultural element of our teaching environment. I think 96% of our faculty have their terminal degrees, and one of the things I think that you discover with that 12-to-1 faculty ratio, student-faculty ratio, is it attracts a certain type of faculty member. Faculty here enjoy the relationships. They enjoy the direct engagement. They expect proactive engagement in the classroom environment. Even with COVID, we've been able to find that connection. We'll talk more about how that has impacted the campus, but this is on campus, folks. All 2,300 cadets are here. There is some hybrid models with some online courses, but each student is getting into the classrooms on a daily basis. So this is a keen part of why we're successful, and we're committed to this and finding a safe way to do this. We'll talk more about how we've achieved this successfully and safely. And finally, we're going to talk about our academic services. One of the things that you find about the Citadel is that it's demanding. It's a tough place to go to school. It's physically demanding. It's academically demanding. It's mentally demanding. But there are resources. This place is chock full of amazing resources that allow our cadets to overcome the challenges. One of our folks here we mentioned is a tutor at night, and that's one of the elements we have. But we have a cadet success department. There's a programming in the summer that's preparatory for folks coming into the Citadel, and then each and every night during the study week, which is Sunday through Thursday evening, we have these laboratories that are chock full of tutors, and we have an institutional supported staffed learning center that helps students with all kinds of challenges. Every single company that the cadets are divided into has an academic officer he or she is primarily responsible for outcomes, particularly with the freshmen. So it's that indoctrination to a college demanding environment and helping those cadets find the resources they need to be successful. But the long-term package of success is all glued together over the 4 years from our career services department. Our career services department I put against any institution out there. Paige Tisdale is the director of that outfit, and she's passionate. She's a dynamo, and she cares deeply about each and every cadet that's here. She employs a 4-year model. This is not a senior-aimed apparatus. This is 4 years. Freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors are involved with career services in preparatory activities, resume development, professional development opportunities in the summer. This is all, this ties into the study abroad programming that we have. It ties into the professional opportunities that our alumni provide. Certain Citadel clubs have all kinds of programming available so that cadets, when they come back in the summer, could find a job that's that might be in the law vein or in the medical vein or what have you, because there's private practices and different things that are available. So all these things, again, are carefully woven together. But I think it's important for our parents and for our candidates to meet Paige Tisdale personally. Here's Paige.
There's never a day where I'm not excited about educating students on opportunities. I'm Paige Tisdale. I'm director of the Citadel Career Center. So I think because I really enjoy what I do, I hope to empower students to be able to find that, because a lot of people don't find it right out. It's not something that you just often fall into, right? Sometimes your path is a little windy. And I'm lucky that I have found it, and so I want to empower students to do the same thing, to find something they're passionate about. I think young people have a lot of options. Obviously, coming to the Citadel is a very tough choice, and life at the Citadel is not easy. And so if you're choosing to come here, I think you're already buying in from day one that I'm going to work really, really hard for the end goal. Not just the ring and not just to graduate, but partnering with us, that professional end goal. And so it's a very personal thing to me. Sometimes I get a little bit of pushback of, hey, you can't reach everybody. And I guess my response to that is, why not? To me, that's the reason that a career center exists. And so I grew up understanding and really loving the Citadel and knowing what it was all about, and really our mission to educate principal leaders. I believe in that, and I believe what we're doing here. And what I would say is that the employers, they buy into. So I'm really, really passionate about getting students connected early, planting the seed, looping back around sophomore year, junior year, so they're exploring, preparing, and engaging all along. So I'm passionate about it because if students start early, it really helps them get connected to career outcomes the day they walk across the stage.
So that's kind of a quick look at a quick dive into what Paige does with our career services department. But when you're looking the drone view down on the Citadel graduate or the Citadel cadet, what is it that differentiates us? What is it that makes us so unique? General Walters, you saw at the top of the program, talked a little bit about this, about his welcome video and what separates us. But there are elements about the Citadel experience that are difficult to measure. They're not empirical. Developing as a principal leader has functional elements that you're going to see repeated over and over around campus that are part of that selfless leadership model that we employ here. But really, the transformative nature of this college begins in the first year. We're going to start our video review of the cadets with what it's like to be a freshman here at the Citadel. So without further ado, we're going to watch something from Cadet Aaron.
I expected the Citadel to be difficult, structured. I expected to have a routine. The only thing that was different for me that I didn't expect was the intensity. I'm Aaron Daninger, and I'm a 4th class cadet. All year, everybody talked about recognition day, the gauntlet. I was excited. It's finally here.
Give this everything you got. Do you understand? Sir, yes, sir. Don't leave anything left out on that field. Do you understand? Sir, yes, sir. Go until you can't go anymore. Do you understand? Sir, yes, sir. Let's go.
And when we went outside, we ran to the first station with the ropes and the burpees, and that was it. I was just into it. Everything else didn't matter. I knew it was going to be hard, and I was correct. I was in pain. I was hurting. I was sweating pretty bad. I was at that point where I was almost relieved. I wasn't there yet, but I knew it was coming. I kind of felt that feeling like I'm almost there. I'm almost there. A couple more stations. We do the victory lap. I go in. I do my push-ups, and I'm right there. I'm so close. When we get in the barracks and we get down to do our push-ups, and I've got my classmates on my left and my right, all I could remember was just trying to keep count, trying to just keep pushing. And then we start bracing, and I heard the bagpipes, and I'm not gonna lie, I was tearing up a little bit. I'd made it. That was it. And 4th class system's no longer in effect, and the chin came right out. The next day, we marched down to Marion Square, and we renewed our oath, and it was an unbelievable experience.
As long as I remain a member of the Corps of Cadets.
The biggest lesson I've learned this year would definitely be keeping unity, even through the hard times. We all ran through trials and tribulations. That was the point of the process, was to test you and to, train you and make you stronger.
There's no getting around it. Knob year is a galvanizing year. It's the proverbial forge where friendships are made each and every year. I get together. I'm not going to dwell on myself, but I get together with my classmates each and every year. It's one of the great privileges and joys of being a Citadel graduate is that in addition to learning leadership and functionally preparing yourself for a great professional career, the people that you go through these experiences with will be lifelong friends. It's a really, really special part of this. Obviously, we have 3 different cadets that are in different stages. We have a freshman, a junior, and a senior. And I think, obviously, just watching this video, there's one place to start, and that's with you, Cadet Lobo. You're a knob. You just got through the first semester. You're only a few short months away from that moment of recognition, which is pretty profound. I'm going to start with you, just asking some general thoughts. What's your reaction to that video? How accurate are you seeing that play out in your own life?
That's very accurate. I mean, the first thing I thought of was like matriculating on August 8th, and first thing we did, me and my roommate, was look up how many days to Recognition Day. And that happened to be 231 days, and we've had a countdown going on since. So now we're at 64 days in a wake-up. So just knowing that the process is almost going to be over is just like a huge relief. And just seeing that video, I mean, he's right about like the amount of friends I've made here that I would have never expected to make. It's just been an amazing experience.
And it's like a fine wine. It's only going to get better with age. One of these things is that it's a pretty exciting but a dynamic lifestyle when you're a cadet. But when you get removed from the Citadel, it just grows wonderful in age, and these friendships will continue to grow. Cadet Wells, I'm going to move to you next. I'm going to take you back a few years here. How does that reflect on? In fact, that might have been your classmate a year.
It was, yeah. That is my classmate, Cadet Daninger.
Outstanding. He was a gold star back then. I wonder if he's still maintaining the high standards he set for himself back then. Does that bring you back a little bit? Is that exactly how you remembered it?
That's definitely pretty close. It's hard to remember, especially Recognition Day, because it's hard to remember a lot of knob years since a lot of it gels together, and you get really good at the whole knob year flow, and so all the days kind of meld into one another until you're done. But especially Recognition Day, I remember more, I guess, the feelings and the feeling of triumph. And I've seen that video dozens of times, but I always get chills because it was my Recognition Day, but everyone has the kind of shared experiences. It's tough. It's probably one of the hardest things I've done, and it just made me feel kind of weird, especially when I was like, when, like he said, when you're just like dead tired and you feel like you can't go on anymore, but you just keep pushing yourself. You don't know why. You just kind of look at the people to the left and the right, and you realize that you're almost done, and these are the people you've been made lifelong friends with. And honestly, it is something that you're never going to forget. You won't get it anywhere else, and you're never going to forget it. It is one of the probably best moments of my entire life, just because it's so definite and different and special.
You're right on point there. I think my colleague Josh would agree that. When you reflect, especially as a graduate long removed from my cadet days, some things never change. When I see that video, it takes me back. I have the same sense of it's a combination sentiment where there's some trepidation because you remember how intense that was, and there's also the great joy of accomplishment with that whole thing. Cadet Bailiff, you're a senior and you're a cadet officer at that. You've seen quite a bit in the last 4 years. I'm sure this takes you back to your knob year, and I won't ask that redundant question. I'm going to move on to the challenge you've had to face with pulling classes through this challenging environment with COVID. Leadership policies that have been instituted by the class last year and this class, your senior class, have had to manage a pandemic that's a 1 in 100 years challenge, and you've still been able to pull off the expectations and demands of commanding a freshman class, a knob year, a fourth class system. Talk to us about those meetings and how you and your classmates have pulled together to rally and impose the protocols necessary to keep the cadets safe, but keep it challenging at the same time. How have you guys pulled that off?
Well, of course, as cadets who have already been through the freshman year experience, I don't really like to say the knob year experience. I like saying the freshman year experience because it's more normal. But having already been there and done that, we would like to see that year be as challenging as possible. But of course, with the COVID-19 regulations and mandates, it's been a little tough. As an athletic officer, we have had to change our physical training regimen. Instead of doing 2 days of regimental PT physical training, we have gone down to 1. So each company is assigned a certain day. And that's because we can't have every cadet on the parade deck or in the certain training areas at the same time. So it's been a little tough. We've had to work the masks into the training. We've had to account for spacing So it's been a little tough, but it's just something that we have to do, and we're good at adapting and making things work. It's a part of the leadership development at the institution. So I hope that answered the question.
It did very effectively. One of the things that the cadets have had to deal with that I'd never dealt with, and certainly you didn't as a knob, is the isolated elements. Part of the keen elements of success here at the Citadel is the camaraderie that you share and you connect with. It's amazing to see how the cadets have adapted and overcome in such a demanding environment where so many colleges have floundered and failed. We have succeeded. And again, that's a testament that I'm bestowing upon not only Cadet Bailiff and his class, but also the junior class and the sophomore class and the knobs. The knobs are keen players in this. So the prayers are that we're going to have COVID out of the way and it'll be a very normal fall come August. But nevertheless, all three of you have played a keen role in success of this institution's success and in continuing the long gray line tradition here. So kudos to that. We're going to move on. The next video we have is following a cadet, Kate Manzione, who's a senior here at the Citadel. She's an athlete. She's a soccer player. But I think she keenly demonstrates what it's like to be physical, what it's like to be a team player, and to serving the team. And that team ethos permeates everything we do. So let's meet Kate.
I first started playing soccer when I was 4. I was like, this is the sport for me. I love the competition and the aggression that I can just take out on the field. I'm Kate Manzione, and I play center back for the Citadel soccer team. So our team is known for having heart and being gritty and getting after it and being physical. And that's something that our opponents really take into account, and they are never stepping up to the field thinking that this is going to be an easy game. It's always physical. It's always a battle, and that's what I love about my team. Being the last line of defense is really important because it's just you and the goalie at the end of the day. She relies on me, I rely on her, and that's a bond that is really special on the field. I can come into this locker room and know that there are 30 girls in this locker room that would do anything for me, and I would do anything for them. Being a leader on the field and being a leader in the Corps is really similar because you're not only a team on the field, literally, but you're also a team in the Corps. I mean, your company, your squad, your platoon, you're all a team. The whole Corps is a team. And the leadership that I saw in the Corps really helped me to be a leader on the field. I've seen myself change in so many ways. The person that I was 3 years ago wouldn't recognize the person that I was today, and I'm extremely proud of that. I really grew as a person as well as a player. What keeps me motivated as a leader is knowing that I'm training my replacement, and I want that replacement to be better than I was before. I have potential to be something greater than I am, and that's what I'm really reaching for.
There's a pretty impactful line at the end there when Kate was talking about training her replacement and positioning that replacement to be better than she was. That speaks to what it's like to lead here at the Citadel. You're aiming to replace this, especially in the second semester here. Cadet Bailiff is going to be working with the juniors who are filling the ranks. And it's a really cool transition of authority and power on the campus. And it really speaks to this invested ethos of trying to empower the people following you to do a great job. That permeates the environment here. Speaking of physicality, all of our cadets are involved in afternoon intramurals. You heard a little bit about that from Cadet Bailiff, because he governs some of this environmental stuff. Cadet Lobo, you're a member of the women's rugby team. Is that accurate to state?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that experience as a freshman. How have you enjoyed that?
I've really enjoyed it. It's like one thing I look forward to in my week. We have practice twice a week, and we practice with the upperclassmen, and it's a great way to form bonds with them. And just because it's such a limited amount of females here, just getting to know more females who've already gone through NABU, it's a great way to connect with them as well.
I played club lacrosse when I was here, and I felt the same way. I played as a freshman here at the Citadel. It was a great pastime. It was a great time to engage. And even though you're hanging out with upperclassmen, it's an interesting bond. You kind of they treat you as a teammate on those environments, and not as a knob or anything else. Even though as soon as you leave the pitch or the field, you're back to being a knob again. But there's a team ethos that permeates. And again, we had, in fact, my freshman year, one of the co-captains was a knob, which was pretty unusual, but he was a great lacrosse player, and they recognized the talent, and he was promoted to that role. Shared it with a fifth-year senior, so that was pretty unusual, to say the least. Well, the next video we have is dealing with times of great challenge. The United States is facing one right now with COVID and all the uncertainty with employment and those things. Cadets are trained to step into the breach in these moments, whether they're serving and being commissioned officers. That's a keen element of that success. But the Arlen Williams Bridge in D.C. is a keen reminder of that. There was a plane that went in frigid waters, and he ended up saving some of the survivors in frozen water. I'm not going to divert there, but again, there's this idea of serving the people around you in times of great need. The next video we have is a minor version of that, more of a realistic expectation. Chad Deckold is his name, and he's going to show what it's like to be a cadet when a hurricane comes through. Let's meet Chad.
I'm Chad Deckold, and I volunteered at a Red Cross shelter during Hurricane Florence. The cadet leadership of the Citadel, we were closely watching the progress of Hurricane Florence.
The preparations are intense right now at the port of Charleston. And
we saw that as a Category 4 or 5 hurricane. It was potentially on a direct collision course with Charleston. It certainly made us realize that this was a truly serious issue. Well, my first thought was, as a battalion commander, was how can I get my cadets to safety first? The next thought was, how can we help out the greater Charleston community with this incoming hurricane? And I knew that I just couldn't sit by while our community was threatened. So myself and 5 other cadets helped out at a Red Cross shelter. And when we got there, we first noticed that the shelter was overwhelmed with about 200 more people than they expected. We had to help take over management of the entire shelter, counting how much food, how much water they had, making sure that everyone was properly supplied, and helping the managers deal with the large overflow of people. As the shifts wore on, especially as it got into the later hours, we certainly felt that fatigue and that exhaustion. But to look at the people at the shelter, realize kind of the magnitude of the problems that they were facing as their homes were threatened, it was truly humbling. Sometimes you have this expectation as a leader that it's always you that's teaching your followers, the people that are under you. It's you that's the primary influencer. But what this experience taught me, watching how the knobs sacrificed their time and how willing they were to serve, was that your followers can absolutely inspire you as a leader. The Citadel kind of instills in you this kind of ethos that there's always something greater than you. It's your duty to look out for those around you. That duty is not just limited to cadets at the Citadel. Recently, I received my ring after many years of waiting, and one of the things that first struck me was how heavy it weighed. Not just physically on my hand, but there's just kind of this weight of obligation that you have. And the fact that, as I graduate and move forward into my career as an Army officer, that ring will still be there. And there'll be that expectation that I have to uphold, those same values that those cadets, those mentors had instilled in me during my 4 years here.
Cadet Bailiff, I think your right hand got a little heavier over the course of the last semester. Would you hold up what you've got on your right hand? There it is. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a noble, it's a humble, I should say, instrument that we wear on our hands that is a great reminder of our duty to others and serving the greater community. Your aspirations speak highly to this end. It's not a hurricane you're dealing with, it's people in need. You have a goal of becoming essentially a social worker, but you have a great master's program pursuit that you've got in line. Tell us about how you came to feel this desire to serve others, particularly those who have needs.
Well, as an African American man, there are things that myself and other African American men experience that that don't quite live up to the ideals of the United States of America, and I wanted to see those change, especially after the death, arguably the murder of George Floyd over the in this past year. I said, you know what, I need to do something. Although I could have made an impact with my psychology degree, I could have made an impact in the field of psychology. I said, you know what, I'd like to make a more direct impact to help eradicate social inequities, especially racial inequities in our nation. And that's how I came to social work and wanting to get into social work, especially macro level social work where government policies are involved.
Good for you. The Citadel had I think there was a virtual celebration of Martin Luther King, Dr. King. It's been a growing element on campus over the past, of course, years. Obviously, COVID's been impactful in that, but making things right and bringing justice and hope to people is an important aspiration. Teachers do this. Social workers do this. Good parents do this. It is a leadership model that you're talking about employing. So I applaud your pursuit. I applaud the passion that you feel to this end. And again, passion is what makes us human. It's real. So I bring you out in the light here to share those kinds of things, because that is everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own background and history. And I think that one of the cadet expectations that we have here is to share that history, share that story, but make good on the leadership that you learn here to apply it in those environments that you can most be impactful. For me, it's been admissions work the last 20 plus years. But everyone has their own story and cause. And so continue that cause. Cadet Bailiff. The other two folks that we have here, I'm going to ask a quick question of Cadet Wells. We have an apparatus on campus that directly impacts the local community here called our Leadership Day. And Cadet Bailiff has been involved in that for a host of years now, but I'm going to give you a chance to answer this question. Wells, what was your most memorable experience on a Leadership Day?
Well, Leadership Day, just as a review, I guess, is just the cadets kind of go out in the community, and based on their year, they have a certain, I guess, project or someplace that they can help out around the community. Knob year, most people go to the elementary schools, and they talk to kids about leadership and kind of about heroes and try to help them understand those concepts of what it takes to be like a real hero, firefighters, policemen. But my favorite, even we didn't really have a traditional leadership experience this year, but the year before that, during your sophomore year, you're asked to sign up for a variety of projects. There's a whole bunch of stations all across the Charleston area. Unfortunately, I forgot to sign up, and so like the day before, I asked the office, like, "Oh, is there what can I do?" And there's like, "Well, you can go to this high school. The president of the Citadel's talking there," and so basically, it was a really cool opportunity. I just got to go to the high school. The president of the Citadel talked to all these high schoolers, and we were just kind of there to hype them up and talk about how great the Citadel was. And it was just a really kind of like not traditional experience compared to what my friends did, and it was really nice because I felt like I was like there, I was making a difference, and the high schoolers seemed to eat it up, even though the speech might have been a little boring.
I'm going to ask all the cadet panelists, what is the expectation? Isn't there an annual expectation of community service? Mr. Bailiff, do you know what that is, the actual hours that are required each year? I can't recall.
Well, sir, I'm not sure if it's each year, but there are some academic requirements. For instance, our leadership courses, some of our leadership courses, they do require, I think it was 10, 11, maybe up to 13 hours of community service. I believe that was my sophomore year.
One of the things that when he was talking about leadership day being involved in lots of different areas, Habitat for Humanity is a big one. They visit a lot of South Carolina has, as we all know, has areas where there's concentrated wealth, and there's areas where there's distinct poverty and economic challenge. And the cadet ethos is to try to get into areas that are most needing of leadership, of support, and resources, of connections. Those are elements that also pervade this Leadership Day environment. But again, wanted to give people a quick cross section, and it started with Chad Deckled in his service in a hurricane. The next video is awesome as well. One of my favorites that has been out. It showcases a cadet by the name of Marcus Millhouse. He has a great story. It's a pretty moving story about some cadets have a really difficult journey getting here. And in admissions, this is the stuff that I love and work for, is trying to find an opportunity to find someone who's on the cusp and who's it's a difficult road to get here. We work to that end goal. But Marcus is one of these cases that had to battle. So I think it's important for us to meet Marcus now.
There's a verse in the Citadel alma mater that goes, "And in the paths our Father showed us, follow without fear." And for me, every time I heard that, every time I saw it on paper, it just stuck out at me, because it was like the author was telling me that your dad went here, your dad had the courage to do what he did. Now it's your turn. It's my turn to embody the same courage that he had when he was here and tackle everything head on. I'm Marcus Millhouse, so I decided to come to the Citadel to honor my dad's legacy. My dad passed away a week before my 7th birthday. I was really young, but we had a very close relationship. Wherever he was, I was with him, and every time he went into the car, I ran into the passenger seat just to be with him. He and I were like two peas in a pod. It was a certain feeling that knowing my dad was right beside me as I was coming into the battalion. And I felt so much motivation, and I was so proud to be here just to honor his legacy, that I felt like I could tackle the world. So during Challenge Week, my 9th year, I was introduced to the gospel choir. I didn't know much about the Citadel, so when I heard the gospel choir, I thought that was something I knew from home that I could carry with me here to the Citadel. I knew I would need that inspiration, I need some of that strength that's in gospel music to help me go through my journey here at the Citadel. So I found that inspiration in the gospel choir, and not just in the music itself, but in the people. And the people in the gospel choir, along with the other ministers on campus, have been my rock here on campus. I keep pictures of my dad in my room and in my car, and I think about my dad every day. You don't have to have family here, you don't have to have your dad, you don't have to have your uncle, but when you come to the Citadel, you make good friendships. You establish, what your values are, and look to mentor other people who are coming behind you. That's where your Citadel starts. That becomes your Citadel story. And I thank God for making my Citadel story since I've been here.
Former Cadet Millhouse is an officer in the Air Force now, serving our nation, which is pretty awesome. Guys and gals, what do you think? What's your reaction to that video? Have you all seen that video before?
No, sir, I haven't seen that video. I've heard some of the commentary in that video presented in another video. I'm also a cadet ambassador like Cadet Wells, so I'm sure he can attest to hearing some of the things that were in the previous video in another video. But that was one of my mentors coming up, and I was so happy to see that video for the first time, because he really became my friend. He was the first cadet to recognize me. I went to a club. I went to an event that was showcasing all of the clubs at school, and he actually shook my hand. That was a profound moment in my cadet career. And so it was really nice to see that full video of Cadet Millhouse, my friend Marcus. And he looks so old to me, even though, I am in his position now. So that was amazing to see. I'm glad I saw it.
It's funny you say that. I think that's another tradition, is that when you're a knob and you're looking at seniors, they look ancient to you. You're like, wow, this person is so old. But time flies when you're at the Citadel. That's one of the unique things. You're now in that role, Carlton, which is just awesome. You're now filling those shoes, which is great. Tradition. He was fulfilling lots of different goals. One of the goals was honoring his father, which is just tremendous. But there was also the longer tradition, the deeper tradition. He's serving his nation now. Cadet Lobo, you're going to be upholding this tradition. You're already on an Army ROTC scholarship pursuit. You've attained it, but you're now going to be serving as a medical doctor. Tell me about traditions. How you feel the traditions that the Citadel imbues. How are they going to be useful to you in your career as a medical doctor in the Army?
Like how Mr. Millhouse was talking about, like the relationships that you learn here and how to bond with people. I think that's a great way to work in the actual medical field, because you got to be able to communicate with others and be able to trust them and form those bonds with them so you can get the job done. And that's what the Citadel does here. They force you to make those relationships with your company mates and your other classmates.
Cadet Bailiff, you've got a ring on your hand, and that ultimately we share this bond, which is cool. I'm an old guy, but every young person, every young man and woman who is now wearing the ring is now a brother or sister of myself and Josh's, and so there's a larger scale tradition. There's this sense of honoring those who've been there before you. I think that is manifested in that video, which is so permanent to me. Cadet Wells, would you agree with that idea?
Yes, sir. I'm hoping to get that ring sooner or later.
It's coming
in a few months.
You're tracking on it, man. You're a triple major, but you're tracking on it. So it's this year you'll be getting that. So that hardware is not far away, my friend. Keep up the hard work.
Yes, sir.
The last video that we've got that is a cadet-oriented video is aimed at, and this is going to recycle this notion of service. Cadet Bailiff has got a tremendous career ahead in community activism and social connection through his angle of pursuit, and Cadet Lobo is entering the Army. The next video we have is a gentleman by the name of Renee Valentine, who's now a Marine officer doing great things. But he also had a difficult journey to get to the Citadel. But again, I think this is an extension of the previous video and talking about how the tradition of service and serving others can manifest in military service. Lots of people come to the Citadel without a keen interest or desire to go in the military who find that. Some people come to the Citadel thinking they're going to go in the military and decide they want to join the Peace Corps, or they want to become a teacher of the English language abroad. Those are great service opportunities that you can bring your leadership and your talents to people across the world. But we're going to meet Renee now.
Life is going to be filled with obstacles, failures, and successes, and you've really got to take it one evolution, one conflict at a time. I'm Renee Valentine, and I'm commissioning into the Marine Corps as a second lieutenant. Some of the obstacles I faced in life really revolve around my relationship with my mom and our military service. We've had to move to a lot of places, unique experiences. It's been incredible. It's also been really hard at times, and she has sacrificed a lot to get me here. I really wanted the idea of my brothers, my family, maybe a father figure. I found my family and way more at the Citadel, way more I could have asked for. Obviously, Nabir was probably a shock. My very first time in Charleston was the day I showed up. There's this constant atmosphere of trying to be better than last year, be better than last week, be better than yesterday. This constant development where there are new expectations, new responsibilities, new heights to achieve, and you're gonna fail sometimes. I've definitely failed sometimes, but it's that constant battle to just be better tomorrow, be stronger tomorrow, be faster tomorrow. It's an obstacle, but it's also potential. there have been so many different kinds of transformation for me specifically. I walked in as this very skinny, not so confident dude from across the Pacific. I'm a senior now at the Citadel, and I feel confident in my capabilities. I know I have potential. I'm looking at the brink of military service. There's forward guidance. I know where I'm headed because of the Citadel. One of the quotes I live by is, "Today will be different." It goes back to yesterday, last week, last year, anything that's happened before. All you can do is build upon it and look forward to today and tomorrow.
For all of our viewers out there, just give you some quick stats on what the commissioning rates have been like. At the height of 9/11, post 9/11 activities, we were commissioning almost 80%, upwards of 75 to 80% of each class was accepting commissions into officer roles in all 4 service branches. Traditionally, in the last 5 to 10 years, we've been averaging a third of our graduating class going in the military. That's been pretty steady. Again, our graduates are taking leadership roles in all walks of life, not just the military. But I wanted to share that with you with respect to Renee's now an officer in the Marine Corps, and it's a great opportunity. And again, you don't have to have that notion locked in when you arrive at the Citadel. You're going to be exposed to a lot of interesting people academically, on the leadership side, within the tactical officer ranks, in your ROTC classes. And these are opportunities to grow and learn from interesting people. So those things go on. In the interest of time management, we're going to continue to move down the pike here. I want to share some quick thoughts, and I would encourage our viewers who are not as familiar, maybe in the upstate with Charleston as you might be, understand this is an amazing community. It offers a lot. Our cadets plug into everything under the sun. Obviously, COVID has been an impact on some of this thing. We have a lot of festivals and a lot of things that have been canceled in the years past, but the social environment that is Charleston is amazing. It's why it's continually ranked, much to our dismay, because more and more people keep moving here. We're running out of space, but it is an exciting place to live. Our cadets make great use of this town. It's a walking city. So that's something to do some homework on and learn about. When I circle around on the discussions we've had, the videos we've watched tonight, there's some undergirding elements that are a very important in terms of succeeding in the first year and ultimately in all 4 years. There's some core elements. We look for these things in admissions. We objectively look at your academic portfolios. We look at your testing. If you're taking tests, obviously that's been challenged the last year, but we also look very carefully at leadership acumen. And that comes in organizational activities, athletic activities, academic organizational activities, doing things above and beyond that demonstrate leadership to us really, really matters. But one of the things that is functional, that if you distill it further and further down, there's one lead element that demands attention. And it's something that was noted by General Walters, and it's the simple mantra that it takes grit to be successful at the Citadel. Man, I'm fired up. Every time I see that video, I'm fired up. I'm ready to do some PT. I know our cadets probably are not, because they do a lot on their own. But I'll tell you what, even as an old guy, I see that video. It fires me up. All right, we're going to get into the Q&A, guys. Josh, my colleague, is on the screen now. Say hello, Josh.
Hello, everyone.
We're going to be diving into a Q&A session here, and we have a lot of questions. We're going to be doing our best to tackle as many as we can. I know that we've hit our marker, so we're going to go a little bit over. I know everyone's staying with us. We've got most of our participants. Stick around. We're going to get that QR code up. We'll probably put that up in the middle of the Q&A session, but we're going to do our best to answer as many as possible. And then if we don't get to them all, we're going to summarize a review, maybe in a follow-up email to everyone to answer as many of the questions that we didn't get to tonight as possible. So stick around, folks. Hang in there. We're almost there. Josh.
Thank you, Seamus. I want to thank everyone watching and all those who have submitted their questions. Lots and lots to work through here. And I'm going to start off with a really great one here. We have a question of why are you wearing different uniforms? So what's the difference between the one that Ms. Lobo's wearing as well as the one Mr. Wells and Mr. Bailiff? Mr. Wells, can you answer that? What's the difference between the uniforms?
Mute.
Looks like we got you on mute there.
I'm sorry, I pressed it. My bad. So obviously these uniforms are kind of Army-style uniforms, so we try to be as simultaneous with the Army as possible. So when they change uniforms, we also change uniforms. So when me and Cadet Bailiff were knobs, they issue your uniforms, and at that time the Army had these ACU patterns, but recently they changed over to the OCP patterns like Cadet Lobo has. So we're kind of in transition. So everyone eventually, after my class graduates, there'll be no longer anyone wearing this type of uniform. And any day that we wear our fatigues like this, it'll be that pattern that Cadet Lobo's wearing. So this is slowly being phased out.
Excellent. Next question here. There's a couple questions about legacy. And we didn't ask any of our cadets before this, and I apologize. Are any of you legacy cadets? Do any of you have those that have come before? All right, well, I'll answer that one quickly. In terms of legacy, basically you apply to the Corps just like everybody else. You can get a provisional acceptance, but you still have to be academically proficient and come through just like any other applicant for that matter. However, in terms of the new shuffle, basically you will come in, you have the opportunity as a legacy cadet, one who has a parent or grandparent who's come and graduated the Corps of Cadets as legacy. You have the opportunity to choose to either knob in the company that your ancestor did, or to, after your knob year, starting as your upperclassman year, sophomore, junior, senior, to go into that company as well. So I hope that answers some of those legacy questions. There's a couple questions here about club sports. Mr. Bailiff, can you speak towards, first off, is beach volleyball a club sport? But also, how are club sports being handled during COVID?
I'll do my best with this one. First, I do not believe beach volleyball is a club sport. I'm sorry. Second, I think some of the club sports teams are still running practices. And I think some sports are still actually playing games. I think the men's club soccer team, not the women's NCAA team, but the men's club soccer team, I think they played in some tournaments last semester. But I think it's just a club soccer team. Excuse me. I don't know if it's just for men. I think it's for everybody, but but a lot of guys play on the club soccer team because we don't have an NCAA men's soccer team.
Excellent. Ms. Lobo, you said that you have two practices as a member of the women's rugby team. Have you had any games? How have you run that in a COVID sense? Can you share with our audience how that applies as far as COVID is concerned?
So unfortunately, we haven't had any games yet because of COVID, because we had to organize games with other schools, and many of the other colleges have shut down because of COVID. So what we've been doing at practice, it's been pretty much like social distancing practice. We can't actually tackle each other, but this new semester we're allowed to start tackling. So that's a good thing for us to actually learn and advance in the game. But with the COVID right now, there's no game scheduled as of right now, but they're still trying to figure something out for us.
Josh, do you mind if I tackle a few? Do you mind if I jump on?
Sure. Jump right on.
Again, for our viewers, I would say that there's a high probability that vaccinations will be in place. So the fall is going to be business as usual again. So any of our female aspirants looking to join the rugby team, you've got Cadet Lobo to be looking for next fall. That's for sure. There's a handful here. If you're a reservist or if you're in the National Guard, that is not an issue with coming to the Citadel. We have lots of folks in both. What the issue is you cannot report to the Citadel late. You must be reporting on our prescribed time. It's usually the second Saturday in August. There was a summer program request about how you sign up for it. It's called CSI. We'll send you information. If you've been accepted to the Citadel, you will get information, so stand by for that. There was a question about how you request a company. You don't. The only people that can do that are Legacy. It's a random assignment. I was a Bravo company. Doesn't matter. If you have a father, a mother, those are the predominant means, and you have that opportunity. Cadet Bailiff, what you got?
Well, I was going to mention that if you'd like to join the Regimental Band and Pipes, you do have that option, and you would have to. Well, I'm not sure if you would have to audition.
No, you do.
You can select. I know I had to audition for sure.
Okay, they still do.
Okay, cool. But yeah, you can request to be put into band company.
If you have no music talent, do not join band company because you're not going to be admitted. Let's start there. Joking aside, but you should have some acumen and obviously desire to join band company. But it's a specific a ceremonial detachment. They do amazing things. Our band has played for presidential inaugurations. It's played all over the world in different capacities. The tattoo in Scotland was an amazing opportunity for our pipe band to head over to Scotland for an invitation-only event. So that's pretty awesome. Let's see here. No, I'm going to hand it back over to you, Josh. We're just tackling them in groups if we can.
I appreciate it. Here's a question that's perfectly answered by just looking at the screen right now. The question is, honestly, how are the facilities? So I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to narrate a few things, but blow up a few screens just to see it. First off, Mr. Wells, will you take us through your room? Mr. Wells lives in the oldest barracks we have on campus. Can you just take us through your room in general, just kind of show this?
Yeah. I'll try to move my kind of a little. I have a setup here, so I'm gonna try to like pivot a little bit here. But like I said, I'm big into computer stuff, so I have my setup here. I have my PS4. This is my desk, my work area. So keyboard, PS4, screen. Some of my materials are up here for my classes. My roommate's desk is right over there. So we have your room can be set up in a variety of different ways. So you have 2 desks, a sink right over there, sink and your mirror, 2 full presses. So I can pivot to show these. So your full press is where you keep all of your uniform items. So all of them will be hung up here, and there's also the upper area for your blankets and covers and such. You also have 2 half presses that hold all your other miscellaneous items, socks, personal items here. And then if you turn all the way around, we have our beds. I just recently made mine, and the bunk beds, I'm on the bottom here. So that's kind of the general room.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. And then Miss Lobo, to show which battalion are you in, Miss Lobo?
I live in 4th Battalion.
So she's in 4th Battalion. This was the first of the renovated, the newer of the battalions. To give you an idea, can you give us just a quick pan? We know what all the things are in the room, but can you just show, for example, what your room looks like there?
So you've got my desk here, obviously. Got my bed. There's a sink. Now full press and now half press is all together. The other full press and the desk. So it seems it's a little bit bigger than the other room.
Sure.
I think it should be noted that that Cadet Lobo's room is in far better order than Mr. Wells' room is, and that's also a long-standing tradition here at the Citadel. That knobs have inspections whenever is necessary, and so there's a higher level of attention at that stage. I'm joking with you, Wells. I know that you weren't prepared for that, but it's great to see the rooms because that's how they look. And guess what? That's how they look for Josh. That's how they look for me. This doesn't change. The question about facilities is what you might want and what you need to be successful here at the Citadel. We invest in areas that you need services and things. Our gym is fully serviced. Our cadets are fully serviced in terms of academic facilities, laboratories. Baston Hall for our business majors is a brand new facility coming on. on board very soon. All of the academic buildings have planned replacement processes that keep them highly on top of the game. So we have to invest where it most matters. People don't come here for the accommodations; they come here for the outcomes. That's what I would say there.
Absolutely. I have a question here that I'd like to answer just by sharing a screen very, very quickly. There's a lot of questions here about financial aid and scholarships. So if you guys will all bear with me, I'm going to share something very, very quickly, and we'll get right to it. One moment. Almost there. While I'm getting that queued up, I'll tell you what I will do. Mr. Wells, will you speak to, there's several questions here about cyber operations, computer science versus computer engineering, and what the computer science experience is like. Could you speak on those majors for those who are asking those questions while I set up the screen?
Yeah, 100%. Gotcha. So like I said, I'm a triple major, mathematics, computer science, cyber operations. So those are all in the same building generally. So they're all very close. I actually came here as just a computer science major, and then they kind of gave a pitch, and I started doing mathematics. And then one of the scholarships I'm going for requires me to be in a major or a minor that's cyber related. So I'll start with the difference between computer science, computer engineering. Those are technically in two different departments. One's the computer science department with math, the other's in the engineering department. But they do have a lot of classes that overlap. You'll be coding. You'll be learning a lot of the computer architecture. Computer science goes more with the coding stuff, more in the conceptual, like how do computers work, networking, databases, things like that. A little less physical. Electrical engineering has a lot to do with the actual makeup of a computer. How do you build circuits? So you have a lot of the electrical engineering portion in that computer science. So that's kind of the difference there. In terms of the cyber operations program, it's actually very recent. I'm actually going to be one of the first people to graduate with that degree. Before this, it was actually just the minor, but this year they instated it so people can go for the major, and I have just enough time to add it. And it honestly, it's good, and it's getting even better. We recently got a huge stipend to kind of from the federal departments to actually kind of inject into our program. So we're getting our own cyber range with a lot of data and a bunch of stuff. So we can set up a bunch of labs so you can understand all the cutting edge technology that you need to understand to be in the field. In addition to that, I help run, and I'm in a lot of those clubs that help with that. So I run a lot. I run the ACM, which is a kind of a programming oriented club. I also help run the cyber team, which helps, which is a competitive team, and the cyber club, which is less competitive. But there's a whole bunch of opportunities to learn, even if you're not doing the major. They're open to a lot of different people to help you learn and get better at the things you're interested in.
Excellent. Thanks so much. All right, everyone. Real quick, I'd like to take you through this. This is just the landing page, citadel.edu. Once you get here, if you just go to the admissions and aid, financial aid, right in the center there, scroll down. First here on the left is for cadets. And at the bottom of this page, you're going to find a detailed listing of scholarships, grant programs, loan programs, what work things we have here, the VA benefits, all of those as well. So everything is listed in detail. I highly recommend utilize this page, go through, do your research, see what those important information that applies to you, because financial aid is such a specific game, and then give our financial aid, send them an email, give them a call. They will be happy to answer those specific questions that are unique to your situation and tell you how those programs work. So in a way of condensing all of these financial aid questions into one, these are great places to start and really get you to where you want to go.
Josh, do you mind when you're pulling out of there? I'm going to answer a handful of questions real quick if you don't mind.
Please do. Yep.
On the club side, I played club lacrosse. One of the things that you can find about being a cadet is that there are monies that are put in a pool that any new club aspirations can come forward. You need representation. You need a staff member that can take ownership of being the TAC relatable to that club. but start it. We have a club ice hockey team that is extraordinarily competitive. They played internationally. That was not around when I was a cadet. A cadet decided that that's what they wanted to do, and they got other cadets of like mind, and they started it. So if beach volleyball is in your game plan, start it. Be entrepreneurial. There's a process here to get those things going. There's someone talking about a boxing club. We used to have a boxing club. I think we still might even have we used to have a million different clubs. There's Krav Maga, there's jiu-jitsu, there's all kinds of different stuff. Again, you can find the club listings on our page, but if it's not there, be entrepreneurial and start it. That's what I would recommend. 3 things to keep mindful of in different drill team kind of related things. We have kind of a rifle legion team. We have the Intramurals guards, and then we have what you do in the cadet environment, which is standard mandatory stuff, which is kind of Army protocol kind of oriented rifle manual stuff that you'll do in parades and other things. The Intramurals guards is a ceremonial unit that's very different. YouTube is your friend. Check this stuff up online. You'll see Intramurals guard performances. Rifle Legion. You can apply for Rifle Legion as a freshman. Becoming a Intramurals guard is relative only as a junior. You have to try out for it, essentially. So that's an opportunity for you while you're here. But again, those are available to every cadet. The color guard team is a part. Isn't that essentially color guard is a part of the band? Would that be correct to say, Cadet Bailiff, or is that actually no? Salute gun, not salute gun. Palmetto battery. Excuse me. They're the ceremonial outfit. Again, I'm an old guy, so I relate old terms. But Palmetto battery does a lot of the ceremonial things that are relatable to presentation of colors, those kinds of oriented things. That's our ceremonial company on campus that does a lot of those responsible things on a daily basis. So that's a key element there. Let's see if we can, I'll hand it back over to you, Josh. I just wanted to tackle
Excellent. Thanks, Seamus. There's several ROTC questions here as well. Some about how do you change from what you've put on your application, and do you need JROTC and how that applies to the ROTC programs here. All of our cadets are required to take ROTC at one of the 4 branches. So these are courses, regardless of whether they intend to go in the military or not. And these turn into being briefing and learning classes about military rank structures, as well as leadership and how to communicate within those realms. Furthermore, whatever you put on your application is sort of a guide. As we get closer to matriculation day, you're going to be asked very specific questions about your major. So this is where you actually start to hone in and say, I want to start being signed up for cyber operations classes or whatever the case may be. This is also true of your choice in ROTC. If you haven't already taken an ROTC scholarship or have a contract or moving towards commission in any one particular branch, even once you get here, you have opportunities to move between the different ROTCs up to a certain level. Basically, the last sort of commitment time really starts coming towards the end of your sophomore year, because if you intend to go and join one of our branches, if you intend to join the military and commission, that's when you really get into the pipeline of going to basic between your sophomore and junior year. Getting into your AIT and OCS and doing those things that move you towards commissioning the same day that you graduate. So you're going to have lots of room within that. In terms of, do I need JROTC in high school to be successful? Absolutely not. Will it help you to have already shined your shoes once or twice? Absolutely. All of our cadets can attest that once you're here, you're going to get trained, whether you've been in JROTC or not. Challenge week, you're going to shine plenty of shoes and all of knob year and all the rest of your years. The same is true for learning your left from your right and your rifle manual and your drill and formations. All of that you're going to learn one way or the other. So might it help you to have that knowledge already and not be totally fresh? Sure, absolutely. Encourage it. Is it a requirement, or are you at a disadvantage not to have that? You're going to get trained just like everybody else.
Josh, I'm going to jump in here because we're running out of time. We've gone well over our meter, and I think that's a South Carolina thing. We've got a heck of a lot of interest here, and South Carolinians occupy half the Corps. Is constituted of South Carolinians, so it's an important bunch. We had a gentleman who had an interest can you come to the Citadel in the second semester? And again, the answer is no. It's a leadership cycle that begins in August, but we can help you move your application acceptance from one year to the next with a quick re-app, and we'll walk you through that. Thomas, if you have needs, email me or Josh. We'll help you out with that question. Give us a call in the morning. We'll get you squared away. Any questions we didn't get to, we're going to try to wrap up in the follow-up here. Again, for those folks who are not watching on your phones, we're going to put our QR code up here after the culmination video. We have a sign-out video that we want to show you. I'll talk a little bit about that briefly. But stick around. We're going to get that QR code up. Make sure you fill it up accurately with the address so we can get that pennant out your way. Here it is. We want to make sure we get that in your mailbox. This is nice new felt. We just designed these for these events. But again, I think it's important for our folks to know that we'll do our best to reach out. If you didn't get something or you didn't want to answer a question, email Josh or myself or give us a call tomorrow. We're on the admissions contact page. We're happy to answer those questions.
As a matter of fact, when you QR code to give us your address to make sure that pennant arrives, there's a spot right after it for further comments and further questions. That will get you the quickest response from myself, possibly from the cadets if they make themselves available, from any member on campus. We'll make sure that you get your questions answered for sure. So definitely go to that, fill out the form, get your pennant, and we'll get your questions answered.
So I'm going to dedicate this next video, the final video of the night before we put that QR code up, to Cadet Lobo, because you're close. You've got a 60-plus day countdown here that's been established keenly. We're excited about that. We're excited for you. But Recognition Day is a timeless evolution here at the Citadel. The folks who are out there who are looking at us, you'll be looking at it in a year's time. You'll be closing in on this moment. So I want to give you the true in-depth look at what it means to be recognized after your challenging first year here at the Citadel. Thanks for being with us tonight, folks. Have a great night.
We again want to thank all of our cadets for participating today. Thank you for your time and being here. Thanks to all of our guests and the attendees of this event. We sure hope we can answer more of your questions. We hope that this is a first conversation or one of your first conversations and not the last. Keep communicating with your admissions officers. You can reach us at admissions@citadel.edu. Also, come visit us. Come see us. Go right here, www.prenob.com. We have virtual sessions available one-on-one with an admissions officer. We have in-person visits that are socially distant, mask required. available. Come down and see us, see this beautiful city and this beautiful campus. Come meet some of our incredible cadets and staff and faculty here. We'd love to see you again. Thanks so much for being here, everyone.